we are understanding that the government could announce the privatization of 12 more airports. This could happen in the upcoming budget. We've learned this from our sources that the Aviation Ministry has sent a list of 12 airports that need to be handed over to private players. Let's find out more. My colleague Samir Dixit joining us with the latest on this. Samir, you've been speaking to your sources, and what they're telling you is that more airports in the country could be privatized. What have you picked up on this?
In a move to attract more private investment in the aviation sector, the government is likely to make some big announcement in the upcoming union budget. Sources have indicated that the Aviation Ministry has prepared a list of 11 to 12 airports which will be floated for the second phase of airport privatization, and the announcement could be made in the upcoming union budget. So some of the big names in the airport include like Chennai, Kolkata, Indore, Raipur, even Bhopal, Nagpur. So these are a couple of big names which are included in the list, and the airport privatization second phase could be announced in the upcoming union budget. The government aims to generate more than rupees 8,000 crore in the second phase of airport privatization. Now, not just the airport privatization, a drone is yet another key area where the Aviation Ministry is having its focus, and the PLI scheme that was having a budgetary outlay of rupees 120 crore, it could be expanded and it could be taken to somewhere around rupees 250 crore, and the announcement could be there in the upcoming union budget. Similarly, for the Udan scheme, the scheme that aims to connect the smaller cities and towns, so for that the fund allocation could also be increased, and the announcement could be there in the budget. So these are a couple of interesting announcements that we can see in the upcoming union budget. But why so much focus on the private investment? Because on one side we have seen that the Aviation Ministry has been tasked to generate rupees 20,000 crore as part of the National Asset Monetization Program. But similarly, the Aviation Ministry has also set in an ambitious target to invest rupees 98,000 crore in the aviation infrastructure for improvement and upgradation, and a large chunk has to come in through the private investment. And this is the reason that government is more focused, more keen to get in more private investment, and a similar sort of announcement we can expect in the upcoming union budget.
All right, and of course the airports that could be considered in the union budget for privatization, as what I'm hearing from Samir, is going to include Nagpur and Chennai and Kolkata, Indore, Jabalpur, Rajkot, Vijayawada, Raipur and Amritsar. Let's get perspective on the possibilities and whether this is good for us, not good for us. How are we looking at privatization of Indian airports? Ipshita Sharma is a consultant at CAPA India, and she's joining us along with Garima Kapoor, the chief economist at Elara Capital. Ladies, thanks very much. A very good evening to you. Ipshita, first to you. As far as privatization of airports is concerned in India, how has it worked out for us in your opinion? What are the pros and cons of getting more airports privatized in India, like the ones I just mentioned in Kolkata, in Indore and several others?
So airport privatization has always been the part of the overall asset monetization program of the Government of India, the National Monetization Pipeline, and it was on expected lines. Airports were earmarked under this plan, and the process was to be completed by March 2025. CAPA India welcomes the proposed airport privatization plan, as the airport privatization model since 2004, based on the build, operate, and transfer model, has been a remarkable success both financially and strategically. Financially, over $4 billion has been received by AAI till now, and strategically, both the consumer and the industry has benefited from the world-class airport assets in Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, and Hyderabad. When we look at the monetization program and the privatization of these airports, there is a lack of capacity augmentation at AAI airports to the level required. And the privatization of these airports will be critical for expanding connectivity to airports beyond the metros, especially in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. And hence, CAPA India welcomes this very, very much.
So like viewers are seeing in the graphics that are playing out, we have those airports that are under the Airports Authority of India right now, and the number is 55. Right now, the private ones are about 11, and those include the joint venture ones and the state-run ones as well. So yes, that number, as far as today's situation is concerned, the ones that are privately operated are just 11, and that number is likely to go up. Garima, in economic terms, how does privatization of airports really help the government? Is that a net benefit to the center in terms of getting its priorities of fiscal budgetary management right?
There are two ways to look at it. One, of course, is the fact that asset monetization becomes a very critical source of income and revenue outside the ambit of taxes. We've seen how divestments really have not kicked in, particularly this year, where you'll probably see a shortfall of at least 25 to 30,000 crore. So, in that context, asset monetization across sectors, particularly of lucrative assets such as airports, works very well. And second is that government has a strategic target where they have basis their consultations and inputs of Niti Aayog, prepare a list of sectors where government has no need to be in business. So those barring those strategic sector, they were including defense and railways, where they'll continue to operate. A large chunk of non-strategic sectors is where government will like to give the ownership of running the business to private sector. And that's where I think this also bodes very well for the overall context of what government has really set across few years ago. So I think one is, of course, the fiscal aspect, which I mentioned in terms of asset monetization revenue, and two, of course, is the larger ambit of being outside the sectors which are non-strategic, so that it can focus well on the sectors which are strategic and probably, allow efficiency and to kick in terms of privatization.